people need to understand that polygraphs are not lie detectors. That's not what they actually do. What they are is a detector of physiological side effects.
Boom. Yep.
That's like
big difference.
If your butt puckers, or if your temperature increases, or if your heart rate increases, that's what a polygraph tells you. You could be having a physiological effect because you're telling an uncomfortable truth.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could be having a physiological effect because you're telling a lie.
Yep.
Or you could be having a physiological effect because you've got a fucking cold, right? You don't know. And that's why so much of it relies on the polygrapher, the actual person running the program.
Yeah.
And a good polygrapher can still have a bad day, but a bad polygrapher just doesn't know anything about anybody, right? So, and that's why they can't be admissible in court.
Yep.
Because it basically falls down to a single point of failure.
So fucking subjective, man.
In the polygrapher itself.
It's so subjective. And the other thing too with the polygraph is, I didn't know this until after the fact. If you don't sleep, guys, the night before a polygraph, you are gonna fail. Like you're like that's a big thing. Like you will fail because it's so heavily dependent upon your physiology. So like something that normally wouldn't bother you or you wouldn't maybe have as much of a reaction to when you're sleep deprived is a big big deal, guys. So
too much caffeine the morning of, right? If you didn't eat enough breakfast, and what sucks is when you know a polygraph is coming, it's like the most stressful night ever.
It is. You can't sleep.
It sucks, and then you show up and you're like I'm bleary-eyed and whatever else, and that's where you really learn the difference between a good polygrapher and a bad polygrapher. Because a good polygrapher will find a baseline, find out what's normal for you in that state, in that condition, and then measure your variances from that baseline.
Yeah.
Whereas a bad polygrapher isn't going to set a good baseline and is going to find all sorts of false positives.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Now, the people who beat polygraphs, right, the countermeasures for polygraphs, there's really two kinds. Mm-hmm. There's the people who physiologically train their bodies to tell a lie without showing symptoms of a lie, right? So people who will role play lying. I mean, something we do at CIA all the time. If I'm going to tell a lie to Mo, I'm going to practice the lie with you multiple times so that I build the brain to mouth muscle memory of saying 2 + 2 is 8, 2 + 2 is 8, 2 + 2 is 8, right? If you don't practice the lie, when you actually go to say the lie, you'll have a breakdown between your mind and your muscle.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like you don't throw a baseball ever, and then you do throw a baseball and you're off target.
And a trained interrogator will be able to find that.
A trained interrogator will be very sensitive to that, but most of the time you're going up against an untrained person.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to polygraph, you've got the people who condition themselves to beat a polygraph by essentially rehearsing their lies, mastering their lies over and over again. And this is what makes a really good con person. Really good con men, really good con women, they don't just go out there and wing it. They're rehearsed, they're practiced, they're polished. They look at themselves in the mirror, they practice their fabrications, they backstop their fabrications. It's really powerful stuff, which is why they're so effective. Whereas your amateur liars are very easy to spot because they don't take the time to practice. They think they can wing it. They think they're a good liar when they're actually not a good liar. And your actual good liars are the people you think are very honest.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
And then the second way that people beat a polygraph is essentially with just noise. They know that the polygraph is looking for variations in their physiology, so they just make multiple variations in their physiology. Right? That's the person who takes a laxative right before their polygraph, right? Because they know it's going to mess with their whole body. And the polygrapher, who's basically, if you imagine like the Matrix, they're watching the Matrix.
Yeah.
What they're seeing is this person's whole body is jittery.
Yep.
Their heart is jittery. Their gut is jittery. Their sphincter is jittery.
It's fucking chaos.
It's chaos.
Because what they want is something calm so they can see anomalies.
Right. If everything looks chaotic, they can't assess that as a fabrication. They have to assess that as a baseline, just a jittery person.
Yeah.
Well, how do you see a variation if there's constant jitteriness?
Yeah.
So fresh on me. Freedom.